This is sorry. We stopped at role play method. I hope I'm correct this time around. I have just gone through my YouTube class, the last one we did, and I noticed that the place we stopped was on the advantages and disadvantages. We have done that. So thank God. So we are good to go. The next type of method we will talk about is discussion method. Discussion method. Well, I will not be wasting much of our time today because we seem not to have a lot of time on Zoom. So let's go straight to reading it and then try to explain it briefly as much as we can. What is discussion method all about? This is a participatory approach in which learners are involved in the process of learning by allowing them to also raise issues of their own and arriving at solutions through participants' analysis and synthesis. Now, the teacher is also involved, but he must not dominate the discussion. He must not dominate the discussion. What are the advantages of discussion method? It can help in achieving attitudinal change among learners. It encourages logical and constructive thinking by the student. It is a good way of finding solutions to problems. It makes students to be actively involved in lessons. And lastly, there is a coordinate relationship and interaction among students and between them and their teacher. Of course, you know that anything that have or yes, anything that has the advantage will definitely or probably have a disadvantage. So what are the disadvantages of this method? One, it can, oh, sorry, I think I'm going too fast. The disadvantages, one, it can only be used among mature students since the level of knowledge and expression of young pupils may be low. It is only useful where the participants are knowledgeable. Otherwise, it becomes an expression of ignorance. Now, there is a tendency of a few outspoken and bold ones to dominate the discussion. So, unless rightly guided, the discussion may not be focused. Unless rightly guided, the discussion may not be focused. So, I'm very sure that this method is very self-explanatory, even without reading it. It's a method we are used to. It's a method we kind of know about. But let's see what we can say about it. Now, discussion method is a kind of teaching method in which we have the teacher and learners, they talk about a topic together, not like I'm the one teaching now. No, you know what discussion means literally. So that is the same thing. We are discussing instead of being like teachers saying, giving the instruction alone and students just listening and writing down. No, it's a two-way thing. You say, they respond. So that is a discussion method. You discuss the ideas, you ask questions, they give their opinions, you examine the different views that you have on ground, and finally you even get to a conclusion. So that is discussion method. So one thing you should note when you want to use discussion method is that discussion method is not controlled entirely by the teacher. You are not having a dominant control on it because everybody will share his or our own views, knowledge, idea, concept, even as students or pupils. Now, let's take, for example, what kind of topic can we teach using the discussion method? If you want to talk about causes of maybe poor environmental sanitation in our community, that is a very popular case in Africa, even in Nigeria. So if you want to talk about the causes of poor environmental sanitation in our community, Instead of you as a teacher to just be, pumping the knowledge into them, telling them all that and the topic entails, the teacher may decide to ask a question by asking the student that what are the things they notice, in their community that may make the community dirty. When you pose that kind of a question, it's a question that is going to trigger some responses from them. We've done something yesterday, although not in this course, but we've done something yesterday when you have the issue of what? The stimuli, the response, and the reinforcement. That is one concept you should not forget at all through this study. That's a very important thing as a teacher that you must know every time. So when you, as a teacher, if you want to introduce a topic in the form of discussion method, you may start with a question. The topic now that you are trying to teach is maybe causes of poor environmental sanitation, maybe in major cities or in our community. Then instead of you to just start the causes of poor environmental condition in our is this are this. No, you can just ask them a question. What are the things they notice in their environment that makes the environment dirty? So one learner may say, they throw nylon on the floor, paper on the floor. They start contributing. So as a kind of discussion ongoing, we have a kind of discussion ongoing. So, that is the idea of discussion method. Now, if we should talk about the advantage, well, there are some things that are mentioned here under this method. There are some things mentioned that we need to bring out, and we can bring them out under the heading by saying that they symbolize the main features, like things that discussion method entails. It entails active participation by learners. I mean, learners must actively engage. It's not a passive thing. It's not something they'll engage passively. They must engage actively. Then it also involves sharing of ideas. What I know about the topic, what Madam Titi know, like what we did at the end of last class, like yesterday. After that class, we had a discussion where you help us to throw more light to the concept of special license marriages. Now, that is the importance of discussion method. Madam, I've forgotten her name. I don't know if it's Comfort or so. She also threw
Yes.
light.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma. So she also gave us some tips about marriage that yesterday. Now that is a form of discussion. Everybody talks, everybody say their idea. It's not just the teacher being a commandant telling the learners or the students everything about the topic and expecting them to just accept. Now, discussion method also involve asking and answering questions, listening to other people's opinion. In fact, one way of teaching learners how to listen and respond is doing discussion method. You learn that when somebody is talking, you don't cut in. You allow the person to learn, and even if there is something so important that you quickly need to cut in to correct something when the person is actually speaking or emotional, you need to excuse yourself from the person. So that is when they start learning ethics. Like somebody, Mr. A or student A is still saying his own views on the advantages of discussion method. And then student C already cut in and started saying something something else. Now there's an issue there. They will learn the ethics of communication doing discussion method. Because you, the teacher, will be there to coordinate them to say, allow Kelvin to finish his own presentation, let him finish talking before you say whatsoever you want to say. Now, something like that. So, the main under the features of discussion method, other things we can bring out from discussion method is that we have analysis of different viewpoint, analysis of different viewpoint. Also, in discussion method is like what they mentioned there is suite for solving problems. It is suite for solving problem. And it also helps to reach conclusion. Now, under the advantages, the first advantage we have here is that it can help in achieving attitudinal change among learners. What does that mean? When you say something help you to achieve attitudinal change, what does it mean? Let's take an illustration. For instance, let's say we have a student that loves bullying other students. That is what he do for a living. He bullies other students. Now, the teacher may decide to organize a class discussion on the topic bullying. So, when one learner explains how bullying can make a child afraid of coming to school, maybe another one may explain that students may lose their confidence when they are frequently bullied. Another student may say probably maybe students may engage in fights and even injuries, because when you bully someone, the person eventually knows and come out of your trap of bullying, then there will be war. So that is what we mean by attitudinal change among learners. So through this discussion, some students may begin to reconsider their behavior. While you are discussing bullying and you are saying different things and several things, you will soon find out that some students will start thinking, so if you do this thing, you go to this place. So so that this thing is prison, through discussion method. Because when you start asking for general opinion, what you as a teacher may be afraid of saying, maybe due to the conduct of teaching, ethics of teaching, the fellow student will be able to say it without restriction. That in that way, somebody is being converted, somebody's mind is being met, and that is a kind of change in attitude. And it encourages local and constructive thinking. When you are doing discussion method, students often explain what they think, why they think so, and what evidence support their opinion. So whether it's another person's argument or theirs, they try to see if the argument make sense. If the argument make sense. Okay, so that is point 2. Point 3, under the advantages, it is a good way of finding solution to problems. A good way of finding solution to problem. So discussion method allows several people to contribute to ideas. So when you are looking for the solution to a particular problem in terms of a research gap or a concept, you will learn more about that thing if you decide to teach the concept via discussion method. So, and then we have some of the disadvantages listed. It can be used among mature, so it can only be used among mature students. Imagine you using discussion method in a nursery class. Now, what do they know that they want to discuss? They don't have much in their head that they will not say that primary school students should come and discuss. No. Now we have another one which we call the field trip method. This one seems to be more technical and practical. This is perhaps the best method when there is the need for direct or real life experience. It is used to discover knowledge in a real life situation. It involves leading students into natural life setting or for excursion rather. It could also involve leading students to natural settings such as forests, reserves, lakes, sea, factories, industries, and other similar establishments. Now, it helps to break the monotony of class teaching. The monotony of class teaching. Now, what are we trying to say? Of all the methods we've been talking about, this seems to be practical. When you're talking about this method, field trip method, is a type of method where you go, you see, you conquer, then you come back and you write about it. That is field trip method. This one is very simple. We don't really need to demo much on it. What are the advantages of field trip method? One, it enhances learning and arouses the interest of learner of. So, sorry about that. So, advantages of field trip method. One, it enhances learning and arouses the interest of students. When you tell your pupils now that tomorrow, next week Friday, we are going to the museum for excursion. Oh my goodness! In that their house, they will not allow anybody to rest again. Even you as the parent at home, they will start disturbing you, mommy, on Friday, mommy, on Friday. Especially if they tell them from school that they should contribute one money, you will not rest until you send that money to that school. It arouses some kind of interest in them, enthusiasm. They are looking forward to it. So because it's an experiential method, they experience it. So it gives them this kind of joy and engagement. It exposes students to new learning experiences. It exposes them to new learning experiences. This is very self-explanatory. It helps to reinforce what has been taught in the classroom through practical experience, and it promotes interaction amongst the student. Now, the disadvantage or disadvantages of field trip method is that it could be time consuming. Imagine how many time, resources, energy you put into setting the trip, and then traveling down is another time consuming. So it promotes interaction amongst the students. The disadvantages of field trip method, it could be time consuming. We said that it is expensive, especially in terms of transportation. Yes, but that expenses is always poured on the parent. They will tell them bring 5,000 and they will give them one zobo and one chin chin. That is all, your 5,000 is gone. Well, thank God your children will experience the fun, and that is the main thing. Now we have whole group or direct instruction method. Whole group or direct instruction method. What does that mean? I don't know if you've heard about this method before, but let's look at it. Now, whole group instruction, often called direct instruction, is the method in which a teacher is teaching the entire class something at the same time. Now, this could be through a variety of activities, some of which may include read aloud and demonstration. Most primary school teachers use whole group instruction when introducing new concepts, such as a new mathematics concept or science engineering. Science experiment. Now, class discussions and question and answer sections are also used in whole group instruction. It also includes student-led demonstration, such as show and tell or the sharing of an individual project. Small group instruction can also have a teacher to meet the needs of students who are performing at the same level. Now, in terms of academic ability, the primary school teachers can use mathematics assignment or reading flashcards or do complex projects such as planting a seed as part of small group instruction. The teachers often require aides or volunteers to make volunteers to help with small group instructions. Okay, let me read it. Let's complete it. We'll check the explanation. Advantages of whole group or direct instructional method. There are two things here. Don't forget those ones that are having two names. When they eventually, sorry, in exam, there is a possibility that they will ask you that whole group method is also known as dash method, instruction method. What are the advantages? One, it helps to teach a large number of students at a time. Fine. Two, it helps in covering much ground at a time. And lastly, it improves or promotes learners learning. It promotes learners oral and written expression. That is the advantage. For the disadvantage, it does not take care of individual differences and written expression. So the disadvantages we are of whole group is that it does not take care of individual differences and could easily become boring. Now before we conclude on this unit and probably go through a kind of summary of everything we've done, let me quickly talk a bit about that whole group method. It seems to be a bit strange. And let's just take one or two examples, a kind of illustration to help us understand what they're trying to say. Let's assume that in your class, you have 50 pupils there. Let's say you are teaching primary 4 and you have 50 pupils there. And you want to introduce multiplication of fractions to them. So maybe on the board, you wrote 1/2 multiplied by maybe 3/4 on the whiteboard. So you explain the step one by one while the whole students in the class are actually looking at what you are doing. They are following you. Now, what are the type of teachings or activities that fall under this category? When you want to explain, you need the whole group to focus on you. When you want to do demonstration of like you are teaching a topic and you want to demonstrate the concept, you will need the whole group to focus on you. When you want to tell a story, now I'm trying to tell you samples of where you need to use the whole group method or the direct method. Now, you can read aloud. Class discussion is also there. When you are about to show them pictures or like chart or doing a result of any experiment, you use the whole group. Now, let's check the unit again. We are trying to summarize now. We won't waste time on this course much. The course material is just 60 pages, so we will not always waste much time. I just want us to see where we started from or what we are actually doing. In this unit, what we are concerned about is methods of teaching primary science. You know, science is a major concern in this course, not how to teach mathematics or anything. So every concept you learned from this course, well, they may be applicable to other subjects, but on a serious note, they are approaches which we use in teaching primary science. And we started with the methods of teaching. That was what we started with in this unit. We moved to problem-solving method. We talked about the advantages of problem-solving method. So the methods we discussed for teaching science, problem-solving method was the first one. Then we'll talk about role-play method. That was very interesting in the last class. Then today we'll talk about discussion method, field trip, and whole group method. So having done that, we are done with this unit. And I believe that by now you understand. problem-solving method. And after that, we've done role play, which we did in the last class. Today, we talked about discussion method, field trip method, and of course, the whole group or direct instruction method. I would like to ask us an icebreaker. Kindly list the methods of teaching primary science you know in the chat box. Or, okay, don't worry, we're not on YouTube. You can unmute yourself one by one and attempt it. What are the methods you know? Just about 4 or 5 of them. It's very simple. Problem solving. Yes. Who will attempt
Yes,
it?
sir.
All right.
Problems, we have problem solving method.
Hmm.
We have the fle- uh, field, field trip method. We
Yes.
have the role play method.
Role play, yes.
Then we have the whole group, whole group
Hmm.
method.
That is
Then
correct.
the discussion.
Yes, discussion, yes. Madam, I'm not sure Madam, the other Madam was here in the last class, but no problem. So you can see that this material is, in fact, I'm expecting A in, sorry, from all of you in this particular course. A, because it's so cheap, it's not much, it's just narrowing down how you can teach science. So even without cramming, you will still understand and you will pass it. So in the next class, we'll move to Unit 4. And in that class, we'll talk about resources for primary science teaching. You know, they are arranging this thing in an orderly manner. Should we use in order of relevance? You that you want to teach primary science, you must first know what primary science is. We'll dealt with that. Then they move to the styles of teaching primary science we have. You must know the method that is suitable for each topic that you encounter in teaching science. So that was how we treated the method of teaching primary science, and you've done that successfully. Then the next thing you need to learn about is what are the things you will need. Since you already know that we have different methods, now fine, and you know the method, you know the situation where you can use the method. But what are the resources you will need in order to teach that subject matter, that is primary science? Well, here we'll talk about things like the human resources, the material resources. We'll also move to innovation in primary science, and that will bring us to the end of the class. So that's what we're going to do in the next class. For now, I do hope, do we have any questions on what we've done today, the discussion method, the field trip method, and the whole group method? Those are the three we've talked about today. Not only did we talk about them, we also gave examples of each of them, illustrations. So do we have any questions, please? I want to entertain questions, or if you want to talk more on any of the methods I've discussed earlier. I'm really not sound today. Okay, if we don't have any question, that is not bad. We're actually ending the class here. You see, the second class we're having now, I can't promise you when I will have it, but we have it tonight. Because I'm already dozing off in front of this PC. I need to sleep a bit, even if it's just 2 hours. But as soon as I wake up, I will inform you guys if you are available. Then we take the class. So I think we have come to the end of the class. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you later. And what's the other course? What is the other course we're having today? Madam Titi and Madam Comfort. It's like I dropped the timetable to you too. What is the second?
Today is Tuesday, sir.
I know today is Tuesday, but we're taking Monday's courses.
Monday, okay. PED 110, 110.
Oh, 110. All right. No
That's for
problem.
Monday.
Uh,
That's for Monday.
Monday. Okay, sorry. It's like we are still on Sunday, sir.
But we are treating Sunday because this
Yes,
one we
it's
just
Sunday.
finished for Sunday.
Yes, it's Sunday we are treating. Yesterday we treated Saturday.
Two on
So Sunday, the second one is what on Sunday?
PED 130.
1:30. Oh, no problem. We'll do that later in the day. Just give me some time. I will get back to you guys. All right, ma. Thank you.